So let's go over the case here. This is a simple case. I'm not sure why they call it a simple case, but it is a simple case, I guess. So we have a case here, followed by the expression. Okay, this is the condition or the expression you can test. The expression here would be just any input. Okay, any data, any value you want to check against what? Against the expression down here. So you have case, follow the value, and then follow with the keyword when the expression here, if it matches this expression, then you return this result here. Okay, you can have multiple when in here. So if you look back at the regular select case in Visual Basic or JavaScript, it would say instead of case, it would say switch, right? It would say switch that value, and here will be case 1, then do that case 2, and like that. But in this syntax, it's kind of a little bit different from our standard syntax. So case, let's just say here case, will be like total. Okay, so when that total is equal to this total here, if that's the case, so in this one here you have exact match. Okay, if it doesn't match this exact expression, then it fails. Then move on to the next when clause. Okay, you keep moving that until the end of all those clauses. If none of them match, and if you provide an else clause at the bottom, this is the catch-all. Okay, it will take that result and return that, and then it will end that case. If you don't supply the case or the else as well, they return back nothing, just null. Okay. So just do here as a very simple example here. I'm going to put that in here to end my go. Okay. So I just do some very simple, very basic stuff. So I could say case. When we do the case here, you can't just do the case by itself here. You have to assign that to a value because you're returning something back. So usually you will have like a variable here. You can declare, I guess, result as, let's just say we use the varchar. So the data type return is going to be a string. Okay, and here you would say set, right? Because I didn't assign a value up there. Result equals this case here, and you can end the case here, so you know that you don't forget to put the end here. Okay, so the case is going to be the following. You have a expression. What is the expression? It could be like, maybe you have another input here. So let's clear another one here. Call this input of type integer. Okay, we'll set this to a random number times 10. So anywhere between 1 and 10. Right? So to say case input, so whatever their value is, when that input, the first case statement matches a 1, right? So you have to match a certain value. So I cannot put an expression here. I cannot say when a 1. I think probably do like 1 or 3 or 5. I'm not sure if that's doable. Could be. Let's say 1, then return the value, the word of, just say, I don't know, 1 for now. Okay? That's one case. The second case is if it's a 5, then let's just say 5. And then finally, if you put else, then return, let's just say 10, right? For example. And again, you have to print it because this is only in RAM, so you can't see it once you run it. It does not store anywhere else, but only in the RAM during execution. So you have to see the result here. Let's also print up here the either above or below, doesn't matter. the random number. This is the input. So we see what the input is. Okay? So if we run these statements here, and we'll see that we get a 4. The random number is 4. And 4 does not match either of these, so you get the else part and returns 10. So you get 10 down here. Okay? This is the simple case. Just remember, the simple case is you match a value with an exact value here. So it's like the condition is, I'm not sure how to explain this further, but so the condition is that this has to match this. If it does, then get that. Otherwise, you keep moving down the list until you reach the end of that list. Once you reach 1, that returns it, and then it terminates the rest of that statement. Okay, so if I run this a few times until I get a 1, for example, oops, the whole thing from here to here. Okay, I get a 10 because 2 is not 25. So I get 0, I get 7, 3, 2, 4, 4, 9, 1. So there's 1. So I got 1, and then it terminates at that point, and then the rest will be ignored, and then I end that case. Okay. So you wonder, so when do you use this? Right? You use this to modify your column data. When you do a query select statement, and you, let's just say you look for that column of data. Let's just go back in here. Select everything from the vendors, the invoices. Okay, so I can see those information here again. So let's just say that I want to get those data from these columns in here. You see that if I look at this, and if I want to focus on that invoice total, for example, okay, if I look at the invoice total, I say, okay, if the invoice total is within a certain range, or if it's like $10, for example, if it's $10, then I want to replace the value, instead of the number 10, I'll replace that with a different output, right? Maybe like the word it's too small, or just right, or it's too large, right? Instead of getting the actual invoice total back, I just want to put replace that with a different value to a certain column, and that column will be like this column here. Okay, this is actually like a column. To illustrate that, let's go back here. And let's just say that the result here will be coming from that table. So let me just modify this for a bit. No, let's write another one. Let's go down here. So we have a invoice total, right? So I could do so notice that this statement here returns everything. I just want maybe like the invoice ID, vendor ID, and the invoice total. And then if the total is equal to a certain number, then you print something else. Otherwise, just ignore that value. Okay? So let's just say here, I'm going to do a select the invoice ID. Okay, and the vendor ID, and also I want to select the, let me put this into a separate line so you can see it better, and then the invoice total. I mean, you don't have to use the invoice total. This is just an alias, a column. I could say maybe like status or something, right? Status. That's a keyword, so let's put that over status here. equals, and I will select that from the invoice total. So I put a case here. Okay, case the invoice total. What's it called? Is that what it was? I can't remember. Okay, invoice total. So say invoice total. Okay. I'll put the end here just in case I forget. The end the case from the table invoices. Okay, if you look at this, it's just a select statement, right? Select that, but I have a case here. If you do this, so it's kind of lined up. Okay, so select the invoice ID, vendor ID, and the status field. This status will have the word maybe like too low or below or something. If it matches a certain number. So here I would say get the invoice total for every record. Okay, so for the first record, I'm going to check that total. When that total is equal to $6 or whatever that is, then I will put that word too low. Okay. If it's not $6, then just ignore that record and then move to the next record, right? So the next record and so on. So if it's $6 too low, if it's you know, let's just match some numbers in here. I don't remember what they are. Again, this one you have to match exactly the numbers. So I put like maybe like $10, right? I have a $10 in here. If it's $10, then okay, right? And then put when it is $95, and super. Okay. And then if everything else, if I want to, I could just say ignore or something, right? Or don't do anything. If you leave it out, it will be just null. Okay. So if I print this out, let's see what happens. I'm going to get a table with 3 fields, and the status field will be either too low, okay, super, or ignore as the value. Okay, so you see here the output, quite small, but let me do this. Yeah, it's better. So here you have ignore. I didn't put the actual column so you can see it. Let me just modify this really quick. Okay, so let's go back here and modify this. Add also show the invoice total, so you can see that, right? So add another invoice total, will match that as well. And let me run this again. So I have 4 columns instead of 3. So here I have down here. Okay, so I have the first one. I matched this total here. That's too big, ignored, until I get to 6. Right, 6 matches the first one, so it has the word too low. This is too big, doesn't match, ignore, ignore. 10 is okay, and then 6 again, I get too low, and keep going down. I get a 10 okay here. See if there's any super in here. Ignore okay. I don't have any super, so I don't have any match for 95. I thought I had one. Oh yeah, so there it is. It's 1. Okay, so you use it for that purpose. You can generate a new column and print the column to table result set. So you want to pay attention to this because this is part of the assignment. You give you a clue already. Okay, so this is the simple case. Okay, just remember the simple case, you have the value, you must compare that with another value. If they match, then that's the return statement of